Dragon Slayer is an academy that exists in the video game our boy loves to play the most. The game has this typical setting where you strive to become a prominent slayer and serve humanity by eradicating the menace from this monster-infested realm. By defeating monsters and completing various quests, you can upgrade your in-game character to a force that can rival the gods themselves. And that's exactly what our boy likes about his game. He's been grinding his ass off and raising his heroes to unprecedented heights. After literally raising 1,000 NPC students to S rank, the system prompts him with a special quest, an exclusive quest only he has been able to access so far. With the quest tagged as EX rank, it goes without saying that the loot he's going to gather from this quest will be EX rank too. Sounds lucrative because he can enhance his heroes to EX level, especially since S rank was the highest you could go just until now. As soon as he starts the quest, he finds himself transmigrated into the Dragon Slayer Academy game. Unlike many transmigration stories, this dude isn't even shocked or confused about how the hell he got into this digital world. It's as if getting pulled into the games you love is something that happens every Tuesday. Regardless, he checks his stats, and as expected, his stats currently stand at 0. No skills, no traits, no equipment, literally nothing. Then he's prompted by yet another system message. He's been granted a few special and exclusive traits for his first-time transmigration into the game. There isn't much detail given about what these traits exactly do, but let's hope to find out soon. He's hoping these traits will help him grind, level up, and become the embodiment of strength like he was before. This is where the game officially begins. Another system window prompts him to get ready for the tutorial. He'll have to survive for 10 minutes, and as a reward, he'll be granted the Dragon Slayer Academy new student kit. This puts a smile on his face, as surviving against low-level mobs doesn't even pose any threats. All he has to do is avoid attracting the attention of these mobs and let the 10 minutes pass. It's a strategy he has used in the past, but little does he know, bro is in for a great surprise. The snarling noises and heavy footsteps echoing can't be from low-level mobs. In the sky, there are literally 2 dragons duking it out. Of course, he accelerates through the forest before he loses his sorry ass in the collateral damage. He can't fucking believe what he just witnessed. 2 S-rank bosses just for a mere tutorial quest sounds ridiculous. Perhaps this unprecedented occurrence is due to the difficulty level being EX. Meanwhile, the fire dragon uses one of his magic abilities and is about to release a massive torrent of fire. The intensity of the attack is so high that if our boy doesn't leave this place, he'll be incinerated on the spot. It's then he remembers those special traits he received and decides to use one of them, the one which was dubbed Copy. As the name suggests, Copy basically allows you to temporarily copy others' traits and skills. But to successfully copy a skill, you need to take a closer look at that particular skill. The second requirement to copy a skill is that you first have to identify the target's name and rank. But being the former champion of this game, fulfilling the second requirement isn't that hard for him. And without further ado, he copies the target's trait, known as Elemental Resistance. With the help of this Elemental Resistance skill, he avoids getting burned. It would be great if he could snag a skill too, but he currently can't use any due to lack of mana circulating in his body. Suddenly, he notices the wind blowing backward, all courtesy of this fire dragon who is about to exhale a massive torrent of fire. The other dragon, with electricity traits, is also preparing for a massive breath attack. Sensing the danger, our boy starts running in the opposite direction before he's gone for good. Breath attacks are the signature moves of dragons. Even with his elemental resistance, the risk of getting cooked alive still looms if he gets caught in the mess. As he's running away, both dragons unleash their strength, causing a massive blast. By that time, the 10-minute countdown has run out, resulting in the completion of the quest before he got cooked alive. As a reward, he's been granted the Dragon Slayer Academy uniform, a student ID, along with a train ticket. For Tutorial 2, he has to board the train to find himself at Dragon Slayer Academy. The scene promptly cuts to the train set to depart for Dragon Slayer Academy. With the high influx of students enrolling, the train is jam-packed with no seats to spare. So one of the students with a katana asks a passenger to accommodate him in the cabin. But the only response the katana guy gets is dead silence from a girl who's sleeping soundly without a care in the world. Right at that moment, our boy also hops on the train, hoping to get a spare seat for himself too. The katana guy sheepishly points out how this girl sleeping there doesn't seem to be in the mood to respond. Right then, the girl in question wakes up from her slumber. Our boy insists she share her spare space, and the girl seems more than willing to entertain his request. As he makes himself at home, he introduces himself as Kim Ho before thanking her for the kind gesture. The girl reciprocates the greeting and introduces herself as Seo Ye-in. And as for the dude with the katana, he's feeling utterly devastated to see the unfairness of this world. He didn't get permission, but our boy did. Even though no one asked, he introduced himself as Go Hyun-woo. And once again, the only thing he gets in response from Seo Ye-in's end is dead silence. Anyhow, he too helps himself and takes his seat, grateful for the opportunity. Kim Ho questions Hyun-woo about the reason he was late to catch the train. The katana guy reveals how he witnessed 2 dragons on the way, a sight so magnificent it nearly made him forget about his main agenda of the day. Well, my guy also remembers seeing those 2 monsters, but his experience wasn't that pleasant, something he'd rather avoid remembering. the train finally begins to move. About this Dragon Slayer Academy, it's the place our boy kept coming back to every time he raised a new hero. So he basically knows everything about that place, like the back of his hand. This is part of the reason he isn't really excited to visit that academy, since there's nothing new to explore. Or at least, that's what he thought until he boarded the train. The students in his cabin, along with the other students and train staff, Kim doesn't recall seeing any of them. They're totally unfamiliar and new people, not some random NPCs he remembers. While this world shares great similarities with the game he once knew, the cast is completely different. This also means the upcoming events and quests have been altered too. So while trekking through the game, he wants to stay cautious about the unknown. Right now, the thing bugging the hell out of him is the blank stares he's getting from the girl beside him. About Yeon, she possesses these special eyes that can turn anything into stats and comprehensible data she can use. For example, she can see through all the stats or anything she needs to know about this katana guy sitting in front of her. She can see this dude is just your average Joe with mediocre traits. But as for our boy, his stats are incomprehensible. No matter how hard she stares at him, she fails to figure out anything about his strength, making him stand out. This is exactly why she's been staring at him with a clueless expression on her face. She recalls how her manager told her to get all cozy and nice to anyone she's interested in. That way, she can get closer to them. So, taking that advice to heart, she pulls out her suitcase, consisting of some important stuff and snacks she brought for the journey. In an attempt to appear nice and get closer, she offers him one of her cookies. Of course, Kim is naturally bewildered by this sudden and unexpected gesture coming from her. But saying no would be considered rude, so he takes the cookie. To further strike up a conversation, he casually asks if she baked them, and the girl responds affirmatively. Now it explains why the taste is pretty average. Kim then turns his attention toward Hyunwoo and questions him about the peculiar longsword resting beside him. The katana guy takes major pride while revealing that this thing is a sacred relic belonging to his martial sect. The reason it's wrapped up like this is because he hasn't qualified to break its seal yet, so he's left it wrapped. Until the day he becomes worthy of this katana, he'll use this spare iron sword as a substitute. As they're having their conversation, a guy with blonde hair barges in impromptu. His upbeat mood and big smile totally alter the vibe of the cabin. He too stumbled here while looking for a place to sit. Kim doesn't particularly like noisy guys, and this particular guy seems kinda shady. He already knows this dude isn't here looking for a seat, so he wants him to reveal his true intentions. The suit guy feels a little awkward after getting his lies laid bare. He pulls a business card out of his coat and introduces himself as Shin Byung-chul. He sells errand services to his clients along with a bunch of other services an average person would require in their day-to-day life. He promises to find you anything, for the right price of course. Our boy expresses his skepticism, but this snake tie continues to preach the good about his services. Kim has already seen through this shady dude who's running this shady business under the radar. Even now, this dude is being chased by the authorities for promoting his illegitimate business around. Throughout his whole pitch, he kept taking glances over and over outside, as if he's in deep trouble and being chased by someone. The guy denies such accusations and tries to run off before it's too late. Well, it's indeed too late already. The disciplinary committee has shown up here to take necessary action against this guy. The dude knows he's screwed. About this disciplinary committee, it's a group formed by students themselves that handles law and order within the academy walls. Yes, the same disciplinary committee that holds more power than the government itself. These guys waste no time flaunting their authority and demanding this business guy hand over the illegitimate stuff he isn't supposed to carry here. Poor dude tries to defend himself, highlighting how negligible his offense is, yet he's being treated like some fucked up cannibalistic serial killer on a leash. The head of the disciplinary committee immediately penalizes the poor guy with an electric shock for not cooperating enough. She's a lightning-type mage, something Kim finds very special and unique about her. After all, lightning-type mages aren't easy to find. Conveniently enough, he has one of the copy skill slots empty, meaning he has the perfect chance to grab her skill while he has the time. So, Kim decides to put this tasteless cookie to some better use. He promptly throws it on the ground, ready to use it as leverage against the disciplinary committee. Meanwhile, the disciplinary committee leader is already planning to proceed with the next step now that this shady dude has once again refused to cooperate. The only option she has left is to subdue him forcefully and confiscate everything from him. She throws a bolt of lightning shaped like a hummingbird, ready to penetrate the poor guy's body. When it looks like this dude is going to get screwed, my guy extends his hand and grabs that lightning attack before it can hit the target. Of course, that leaves the disciplinary lady in absolute awe. My guy, meanwhile, appears out of the cabin complaining how the commotion caused by the disciplinary committee had him drop his lovely cookie. The lady has no clue what this clown is on about. While my guy has already succeeded in his main agenda, he has acquired her lightning attribute magic skill, known as Hummingbird. Our boy talks about the loss of his beloved and most treasured companion a man could ever ask for, a cookie. With the cookie's life ruined, he blames the annoying student council members for ruining his day as well. One of the council members doesn't take his excuse lightly and thinks it's a ridiculous reason to try and interrupt them. Korean Jesus over here apparently wants to throw hands and threatens to harm our boy. In response, Hyunwoo reaches for his sword as well, stating that if they're gonna do this the hard way, then he won't hesitate to treat them accordingly. With both parties at a stalemate, we get a basic shot of them glaring at each other, to see who's going to make the first move. Deciding to resolve things diplomatically, the leader of the council stops her impulsive subordinate and offers a free dessert coupon for Kim Ho's invaluable loss. Our boy is quickly satisfied with that exchange, leaving Byung-chul all on his own again. Truth be told, he never wanted to save the guy's ass to begin with, he just wanted to copy the lightning skill. Now that he has it, bro's got everything he needs with a skill slot and a trait slot fulfilled. Moments afterwards, the president of the council retrieves the item that Byung-chul apparently stole. It's actually a damn wig, stolen from one of the station attendants. Given that Byung-chul is a dog for money, he ended up doing a commission prank. Even Kim Ho thinks that this one is totally his fault. While leaving, the pretty girl warns our boy to stay cautious of Byung-chul and his schemes if he wants what's good for him. But Kim Ho doesn't really like it when other people tell him what to do, and believes that he'll handle the situation on his own. Korean Jesus warns our boy and promises to remember his face for the future, and as for Hyunwoo, he's busy investigating the discipline committee and learns from Byung-chul that these guys are the best of all the elites. Their current president, the one who shot the hummingbird spell, is called Song Chun-hye. Her name is so recognizable in fact that Hyunwoo realizes that she belongs to the famous Song family, the one that governs the Topaz Tower. This woman, apart from her good looks and immaculate outfit choices, isn't someone to be messed around with. Her grandpa is the Thunderlord Song Kyung-yoon, and let me tell you what, I don't even know the guy, and I already feel sorry for Chun-hee's future boyfriend. As for the background on the chumps that were following her, they're not exactly some randoms either. Among them is Jo Byok, a notable student of the Fist King. Then there's Han So-man, an excellent student of the Sword Empress herself. Finally, there's Gaeum Yohan, and even though I'm mocking the dude, he's actually the lone heir of the Golden Lotus Pavilion. After running an introduction to the committee members, Byung-chul thinks that it's time for him to head out. With him gone, Hyunwoo curiously turns to our boy, addressing the whole cookie sacrifice ordeal that he pulled off. It strikes him as strange that Kim Ho would risk himself in a fight over a single cookie. Revealing the truth, Kim Ho states that he actually came in to check on the epic lightning magic used by Chun-hye. This explanation surprises Hyunwoo, because he did see our boy stepping in to block the hummingbird spell, which leads to Kim Ho quizzing his knowledge of the spell. Brainstorming for a minute, Hyunwoo reflects that he hadn't seen a usage of the spell ever before, and even having caught a visual demonstration of it, he couldn't even see the released lightning hummingbird. It's as if the attack never intended to damage its victim in the first place, but rather stunning them in place. Kim Ho hears his explanation and agrees with half of what he said. He goes on to delve deeper on why it's called the hummingbird spell in the first place, as it is inspired by the unique flight pattern of the bird. You see, in a typical demonstration of the spell, its performance hinges on the ability of the mage. The fact that she used the hummingbird is a testament to Chun-hee's skills. Now, if our boy was up against a professional mage, he wouldn't have been able to catch the hummingbird, as the caster would easily be able to manipulate the flight pattern. But strangely, instead of altering its pattern, it ended up getting caught in his hand. That only signifies one thing. Chun-hee needs improvement when it comes to her control of her ability. At this point, Hyunwoo is genuinely impressed by our boy's in-depth explanation and fascination for a spell. By the way, there's one other observation that Kim Ho made when the spell fired off. He assesses that Chun-hye is talented for being able to use an E-rank ability with only a D-rank strength stat, further implying that she has access to either a strong trait, and even raises the possibility that she might be loaded with internal mana. In any case, Kim Ho thinks that she'll easily live up to her reputation as the Thunderlord's granddaughter. Focusing back to Hyunwoo, he's quickly become a fan and friend of our boy in their short time interacting with each other. Kim Ho thinks that this guy's exaggerating it a little bit, but Hyunwoo's pretty serious about this, and even offers to help him out whenever the guy needs his help. Appreciating the gesture, Kim Ho immediately decides to use this opportunity and tasks him to come with him. At the same time, he politely requests a sudden favor to borrow 1 silver coin. In the next scene, we arrive to Kim Ho's chosen location. Sadly, the machine is out of order. And yes, it's a gambling machine because this place once used to be a casino. The machine appears run down and broken Hyunwoo's eyes, and yet, Kim Ho's willing to bet all his life savings on it. In other words, the one singular coin he obtained from Hyunwoo. The moment he enters the coin, initially nothing happens, causing them to wonder if it's really broken. But suddenly, the machine fires up and turns on, unlocking a hidden event called the Broken Slot Machine. Of course, it's something that Kim Ho knows due to him unlocking every achievement in the damn game. Using this as his golden ticket, our boy pulls the lever back, banking on the roll. But to both of their disappointment, the only thing he ends up obtaining in the end is a water bottle. Yes, not the wooden stick of destruction, or the unyielding fork sword, or even the secret American technique called the farmer's shotgun. Just a water bottle. Hyunwoo doesn't get what Kim-ho's doing over here, while our boy quickly explains that what they're doing is actually in direct violation to the rules of the academy, because obtaining any item from the machine is considered wrong. This makes Hyunwoo realize that he's basically standing by as a watchman, while our boy is using the lever back-to-back in order to reap the rewards of the machine. He also suspects that they'll be fine because the committee generally doesn't come by. And well, let's just add that to a famous last words before death documentary, because only 1 second after, the discipline committee member Soman quickly comes to check on what they're doing. Soman reminds them of the consequences of using the machine, which will result in demerits. Clearly, the situation has flipped over its head, causing our boy to instruct Hyunwoo to keep her busy for a bit. The cute girl also reminds Kim-ho's accomplice that he's gonna get punished too for helping a student violate rules. But to her disappointment, Hyunwoo genuinely doesn't mind facing the consequences. In fact, he unsheathes his blade, intrigued to test his abilities against the student of the Sword Empress. Soman also decides to get ready for the battle, and learns about his name. Without wasting time on any more introductions, Soman lunges into the battle with a powerful initial thrust. Her heavy attack is blocked by Hyunwoo, who then initiates a counterattack. However, Soman evades it without any trouble. After maintaining some distance, Soman channels some energy into her weapon and bolts ahead with incredible speed. Taking to the air, she uses her entire body weight for a downward strike. The force of her attack is so heavy that Hyunwoo uses both his hands to block it. Kim-ho's also watching the fight unfold, realizing that Hyunwoo is severely lacking when it comes to internal energy, hindering his performance in the fight. At the same time, our boy doesn't want things to get over too quickly because he's here for the full show. Gesturing his hand towards the swordsman, Kim-ho supplies an amplification spell, boosting the swordsman's magic core from grade E to grade C. However, this buff has a time limit of 1 minute and a cooldown period of 1 hour as well. This singular minute is the deciding factor for Hyunwoo, who is still struggling to keep up with the impressive Soman. The battle continues as the timer runs down to 14 seconds, making Kim-ho reflect that slot machines are usually avoided because of their inherent gambling nature. However, there is a piece of knowledge that none of the players know about. Its secret feature is actually the guaranteed jackpot trigger. Think of it as a pity system when it comes to your average gacha game. Initially, the players start the game with 5 coins, and right now it's Kim-ho's 5th and final spin. This time, however, he's dead confident in using the extra piece of silver he borrowed from Hyunwoo. Turns out that right after the 5th spin is over, the 6th spin confirms a jackpot guarantee. It's not even a fair chance, but a guaranteed 100% chance of hitting the best reward. The slot machine finally churns out the best thing it has to offer, which in this case is the dark ice crystal of rank C. The crystal comes with a potential hazard that it could cause the player's own death if used incorrectly. Anyway, the situation gets troublesome for our boy because the blue-haired baddie is about to stab him from behind. However, Kim-ho was ready for that, and knew that his trusted companion would step in to help him. Hyunwoo does end up deflecting the blow, but at the cost of shattering his iron sword. The time duration comes to an end, but to Soman's shock and horror, this man literally drinks the dark ice crystals even after reading the warning sign. Right away, the system initiates a status of frozen on his body. As you can expect, bro starts choking out, like that one satisfying scene where Joffrey gets poisoned in Game of Thrones. But interestingly in our boy's case, the frozen status keeps applying and removing itself, causing an unending loop. And only 1 second later, Kim-ho rises like nothing even happened, stunning both the committee member and Hyunwoo. Shortly after this scene, Hyunwoo asks about what he consumed from the vial, to which Kim-ho responds that it was a mana-replenishing elixir. Let's talk more about the unique 6th spin of the slot machine. Upon usage, it releases the dark ice crystal, but this thing is seriously lethal for most beginners that come across it, resulting in a horrendous death. It's so deadly that a piece smaller than a fingernail is enough to freeze your entire body into a statue. Basically, think of it like Medusa's petrification ability, but this time, you're consuming your own demise. As deadly as it may be, Kim-ho outlines that he's the exception to the rule. Why? It's because of his S-rank elemental resistance, you know, the one trait he obtained from the S-rank dragon in his tutorial quest. Because of that, his body has now entered a never-ending loop of applying and removing the frozen status, nullifying it completely. But not just that, he also gains an easy access to the immense energy after consuming the crystals. As for how he handled the committee member, bro used his male manipulator gaslighting pro max skills to fool her with a false explanation. Anyway, Hyunwoo's pretty satisfied being able to help out our boy, because it also led to him testing his own skills against the student of the Sword Empress. Kim-ho thanks him all the same, because he couldn't have pulled off the 6th turn without his help. The swordsman is thoroughly intrigued by Kim-ho's amplification skill that he used during the fight. However, our boy turns him down and states that he can't use it anytime he pleases, which is actually true because of the cooldown factor. Kim-ho's explanation is fair because even Hyunwoo understands that a powerful skill like that must have its own drawbacks. As for the sleepyhead Yane, she's barely catching on to their words. Speaking of which, our trio is about to reach their destination called the Dungeon Island, the final station of the train. Dungeon Island is famous for its enormous number of dungeons, and it was formerly a place reeking of criminals who didn't exercise any kind of law. Everything changed when the Dragon Slayer, the first and most memorable hero, made his mark on the island. First, he took care of every last criminal, then he conquered all the dungeons on his own, and finally built a city using the island as its foundation. That city led to the creation of the Dragon Slayer Academy, the place that fosters the growth of incredible warriors. Arriving at the institution at last, Hyunwoo is amazed by the attitude of the crowd. The place is filled to the brim with many different students coming from all walks of life. Unexpectedly, the trio ends up bumping into Chunhye, the committee leader, who wants to see our boy back in her office. The scene cuts to the meeting in the committee room, a place of interrogation that is notorious for being so frighteningly life-changing that anyone who goes inside never returns the same. The interrogation kicks off with the committee testing his body for a checkup after he consumed the crystals. Of course, nothing comes up because the frozen status is no longer there. It leads to the committee doubting the legitimacy of the forbidden item in the first place. The interrogator Sehun, who is also the head of the interrogation department, makes it clear that if he dares to disobey the council, he'll get punished properly for the consequence. Even though no one got hurt this time around, they're not going to be lenient with our boy if he ends up here a second time. With that, the meeting concludes, much to the disappointment of the council leader. The thing is, the entire situation seems sketchy from start to finish. They don't understand our boy's intention to even use the machine if he wasn't aiming to obtain the forbidden item. And then there's the fact that the kid consumed it in front of their eyes, and in the end, nothing came up in the scanner report. Based on her observation, Chunhye strongly believes that their suspect has obtained some kind of illegal skill, and she recommends checking his current skills with something called the magnifying glass. Sehun agrees that they could do that, but highlights the problems that arise when nothing comes up as a consequence. If they use the method of magnifying glass, they have to be certain in their claims. Chunhye quickly realizes her faults and apologizes, while the senior tells her to handle things with patience. He also recommends that she quickly hurry to the entrance ceremony, or else she'll miss it. In the next scene, we have our boy returning to his group among the other freshmen. He's just completed tutorial number 3 by attending the ceremony on time, rewarding him with a few silver coins and a weapon selection ticket. Even though it's classed as rank E, it's better than not having anything at all. With this, he's also assured himself a good return on the coins he lost. Anyway, the entrance ceremony quickly begins, but it doesn't exactly give off the best impression ever. You see, the dude who comes to represent the school appears to be a low-tier junkie who looks like he's being paid to talk. Apparently, this guy once used to be the leader of the main Dragon Slayer squad. Because of tradition, the principal of the academy is always selected among the retired heroes who served on the front lines. Back at his prime, this same dude held a fancy-ass sword and stood at the top among other heroes. So aside from his looks, the guy is pretty cracked. Hilariously, he's infamous for being rejected by a certain saintess, and some suspect that it happened recently as well. I think I finally understand why bro looks like the way he does. He's battling the almighty friend zone. Anyway, the principal starts off by welcoming the new students of the academy. He talks about the academy's foundation, which, as its name suggests, is to create heroes to defeat dragons and help nurture them to become proper dragon slayers. The first hero of their time emphasized the word slaying, because he sought each of the students to understand the importance of becoming one. Kim-ho understands that this is supposed to be a welcoming announcement, but goddamn, the yap session is so long and cumbersome that half the students are falling asleep. I'm gonna go ahead and do you guys a favor by skipping the unending announcement dialogue. We get to the part where this man finally comes to the end of his announcement. The announcement concludes, and the only person excited like a puppy is none other than Hyunwoo, who finds it a meaningful experience, while any normal person like our boy couldn't stand it one bit. The swordsman has apparently grown used to long yap sessions because of his old master's ranting. Anyway, the ceremony reaches its second stage, as the students are reminded of the updated list of forbidden items for the year. If they're found possessing such items, they'll face consequences accordingly. Aside from that, the new students are going to be tested in the ground level of a dungeon to prevent any risks in the future. Instructor Four Eyes places importance on keeping it a safe environment for everyone and reminds them to follow rules. With that, the ceremony reaches its end. The students are in disbelief. The eternal announcement of death has finally ended. Right away, Byung-chul finds our trio and offers to get food with them. Also, it appears the dude has found himself a new tattoo because he probably pissed off the cute beast in the background. Anyway, Byung-chul tells them to eat well because starting from tomorrow, their lives will change with the first class. That same night, Hyunwoo and Kim-ho pleasantly discover that they're going to be dorm neighbors from now on. Our boy quickly goes inside to get comfortable, but he can't allow himself the sweetness of sleep just yet. Instead, he sits on his bed in a meditative stance, focusing all of his efforts to accumulate mana and build a core. It's about time we talk about the concept of a power engine. To use any skill that requires mana, one needs the use of a core. In reality, Our boy has never crafted one before, but because he's played this game more times than he can count, he knows the theoretical aspect of it. Plus, he's already imbued a dark ice crystal with his mana, so that's pretty good for him too. The perspective cuts to Hyunwoo, who also appears to be in a meditative position, analyzing his fight against the incredible Soman. She has been his real opponent for a long time, and though they were both holding back much of their strength during the duel, the result would have been a lot harder to conclude in a real match. In reality, when Kimho came up and buffed the swordsman's core, he allowed this guy to survive much longer than he should have. In other words, Hyunwoo thinks of our boy as a master. It's the impression that remains constant in all of his interactions with Kimho. Not only does this guy maintain a calm composure, but he also has a sharp head on his shoulders to see through any situation. That's why Hyunwoo is at a crossroads and wonders if he can really trust him and ask for his help. However, he quickly comes to the conclusion that it isn't right to make it a transactional relationship with his first friend. Instead, he prioritizes helping himself with his own abilities. And that leads us to the next day at the temporary classroom. The students are all gathered here chatting about, and the sleepy Yane has finally arrived too, even though her group mates thought she'd end up pretty late. Surprisingly, the classroom doesn't have a teacher around. The class has already begun, but still no one's here to take control, which leads to the impression that their teacher isn't a punctual person. Finally, someone steps up and enters their class, causing the students to feel excited at first, but horrified in the next moment. Yeah, well, you'd understand too once you see this guy's face. Looking like a serial killer who has just escaped jail, the teacher announces himself as their homeroom teacher, Lee Sudok. Right away, he addresses one of his students to inform everyone of his famous name. The terrified girl quickly reveals that he's known as the Villain Hunter. She gets it wrong and tries again by calling him the Human Butcher, which is another one of his nicknames. Meanwhile, our boy is reflecting on his understanding of the situation. Let's zoom out and focus on the Academy's world itself. This place is the one stronghold where countless S-rank heroes are forged with limit-breaking capabilities. Of course, some of them turn out to be terrible people and become villains to fulfill their own goals. Sudok, their teacher, is actually a hunter who tracks down such people and beats the shit out of them. In other words, this man is the definition of aura, because he's out here beating dangerous S-rankers for sport. In fact, he got his name because he's notorious for killing more villains than capturing them. Sudok makes it clear that he didn't want to become a teacher and only applied upon the insistence of the principal. He's someone no one wants to fuck with, and he's known for his perfect execution. And with this task of teaching, he intends to do the same with his students. Bro is so horny for perfection that he outright threatens to kill the students if they fail his exams. Ah yes, what better motivation than literally having your life on the line? Initiating his first class, Sudok addresses the grading system of their school. First off, the written exam criteria qualifies for 30% of the total score. Then there's a behavioral score of 10% for maintaining a clean record, a freebie for behaving well. Of course, the same score can easily drop to 0% if the students aren't careful and affect their overall grade. Sudok sarcastically states that he's going to make sure to keep an eye on each one of them, so that he'll get to see at least a bunch of his students survive graduation. Next up, he talks about the practical exams, encompassing 2 sections, dungeon quests and player versus player matches. As the name implies, the students will be tasked to conquer dungeons and then face off against each other for a score. The ranking criteria for this will be rated relatively to the other students. Long story short, with 3 sections encompassing 90% of the score and the attitude section containing the last 10%, the overall evaluation reaches a total score of 100. With the scoring criteria resolved, the teacher wastes no time taking his freshmen to the arena. Here, there's already multiple matches going on. Remember what Byung-chul felt so excited about yesterday? The player matches is what he meant. The rules of the match are known for changing from time to time depending on the setting. For this specific event, the rule is classified as a death match, and not a literal one. It just means that the duel will go on until one person's health bar hits 0, or if they're incapable of continuing the fight. They can also surrender, and there's a total time limit of 5 minutes for each battle. If neither fighter can resolve the duel in a set duration, the match ends in a draw, or reaches its conclusion via a judge. Byung-chul also states that the participants will face off against 3 random opponents from the same year, netting them a total of 300 points for every victory scored. But what about the cost of losing or drawing? To that, Kimho quickly states that there isn't any negative marking, but no one's going to get a participation reward for it either. Suddenly, a system notification pops up, alarming him of a subquest mission through the placement exam. Our boy is required to participate and score at least average results in the exam, which means beating one of his opponents. If he successfully completes the quest, his reward is an extra copy slot. To be honest, it's a pretty convenient quest according to Kimho's standards, because 1 victory and an average score in the dungeon conquest isn't difficult to obtain. However, something even more important to his attention is actually the opportunity to learn about the skills of the other students. Because here, he'll be able to spot exceptional talent which he can later use in his quest to create X-level heroes. If not that, he can always copy their traits or skills to his own advantage. Just a few moments after his thoughts, the announcer calls our boy's name alongside his opponent to step to the battlefield. Right away, Kim-ho sees the scarlet-haired beauty representing the Ruby Tower, who specializes in flame magic. They're known for their high-damage firepower, which is also the reason Kim-ho loved maining them back when he played the game. However, right now this girl's about to become his test subject for the upcoming 5 minutes. By the way, she's a bit disappointed going up against a dude with zero reputation surrounding his name. To her, he's just a damn nobody. Not just that, he's carrying a sorry-ass earth staff, which honestly looks like a glorified can for an old man. It's almost insulting to her that he's brought a pathetic E-rank staff. From these observations, she concludes that her opponent definitely isn't from the Emerald Tower, which also implies that he's not an Earth Specialist mage. This makes her wonder if his goal is to use support magic with the staff. She theorizes on his usage of the staff, as their fight quickly kicks into motion. Manhwa treats him as a supporter caster and prepares a powerful combustion skill, deciding to end the battle in one move. Right after she cast her ability, the audience found themselves enamored with her representation of the Ruby Tower. However, to Manhwa's complete shock, her opponent's health is fully intact. It's true that she wasn't expecting a one-hit kill, but the fact that she couldn't even dent this guy is just insane. When the smoke clears, our boy confidently smiles at her confused state. The fight is on, and Manhwa's already on edge, questioning why her attack didn't connect. Thinking that her opponent must have deployed the Dispel ability, she changes tactics and decides to use a spell that can't even be blocked by a Dispel technique. What she does is cast a column of explosive flames all around him, forcing her opponent to choose his options carefully as any misstep could be detrimental. But to her shock, our boy remains unaffected. That's right, look at him standing majestic without even trying. It pisses of Manhwa to the point she casts a third ability, invoking a powerful spell called the Fire Pillar. The attack is aimed right towards Kim-ho's head and detonates in a firestorm upon impact. The large column of flame shocks the crowd, impressing them once more with the might of a powerful representative of the Ruby Tower. However, things aren't as conclusive as they seem, because once again, Kim-ho appears completely unharmed. All this time, she has been banking on her confidence with the spells of the Ruby Tower, and yet nothing is even leaving a dent on his health. In response, our boy finally makes his move, deploying the same hummingbird technique he picked up from Chun-hee. Clearly, Manhwa wasn't expecting a lightning spell coming being used by a support type. She manages to evade the bird initially, but Kim-ho skillfully changes its trajectory to strike her from behind. Yes, he just gave her a backshot charged by lightning. On her knees, Manhwa succumbs to the paralysis effect of the hummingbird spell. With the duel reaching its definitive conclusion, our boy recommends they end the fight. He thinks it's going to be terrible for his opponent if she ends up revealing her entire arsenal to the rest of the crowd. It's going to be problematic for her future matches to come. Despite his condescending words, Manhwa ultimately decides to accept defeat, shocking the crowd completely. Their expectations were completely subverted, just like the atrocious ending of Game of Thrones. Anyway, Kim-ho doesn't like the fact that he's gathered so much attention right in his first battle, so he intends to be cautious from now on. Hilariously, he gets called up again for his next fight, not giving him any time to rest. This time, Chun-hee is going to be our boy's opponent. Yes, the same stylish baddie and the head of the first-year disciplinary committee. She's flexing her aura, but more importantly, she's got an issue to resolve with Kim-ho. Bro looks at her for a moment, and just to fuck with her plans, he surrenders from the fight before it even begins. Sudok is baffled by his sudden withdrawal, while Kim-ho simply reasons that he's no longer in a state to fight anymore. Even though the teacher suggests that he raise his score for the exam, our boy doesn't really give a crap as he's already achieved the one victory he wanted. He also initiates a complete forfeit for his third fight too, counting as his second and third loss, and further pissing off the Thunderlord's granddaughter. She roars at him for being pathetic and for having a weak heart, unlike her grandfather who always advised to fight with resolve. Speaking of her grandfather, Kim-ho remembers that he used to be the Thunder Monarch at some point. He can sense his shadow in Chun-hee's demeanor. In any other context, the advice she gave here is actually useful, but in his specific case, it doesn't really mean a thing, nor does he care. Bro straight up walks away maintaining the same stance and handing her the win. Chun-hee begrudgingly accepts the outcome, even though she thinks it's supremely disappointing from his side. Before leaving, Mr. Ragebaiter 9000 tells Chun-hee to also send him his beloved dessert coupon that she promised. That little snarky comment gets under her skin so bad that it's a miracle she doesn't explode. Can't say the same for her next opponent though. Yang Ji-hong appears in the arena expecting a nice fight against someone from the Topaz Tower, but he had no idea that he caught Lady Lightning over here at a bad time. The result? Well, she fucking obliterates his body with lightning strike from Zeus, and within the first second of the battle, the fight is already over. The burns on her opponent's body are pretty bad, adding to her overall terrifying aura in Byung-chul's eyes, who thinks that Kim-ho made the excellent decision to stay the F out of her sight by forfeiting the fight. Did I just drop a bar? Ironically, she's glaring at him with a bombastic side-eye, with so much intensity that even Byung-chul couldn't avoid noticing it. But our boy doesn't care, or maybe he's too ignorant for his own good. He's impressed by her flashy debut as the Thunderlord's granddaughter. Meanwhile, The rest of the audience is actually fed up with the way Kim Ho forfeited his second and third fight. They're starting to think that dumb luck is the only reason he survived against Manhwa, and it's exactly the kind of perception that our boy wants his image to be. So while shit-talking is usually a bad thing, in his case, it's a positive thing. Anyway, Chunhye is queued up for her third and final fight, but only this time, she's up against the beautiful Seo Yane, also known as Korean John Wick's daughter. To everyone's surprise, Yane ended up as a gun duelist. This fight is building up to be something worth watching, because gunners typically have a unique advantage when it comes to facing off mages. People are starting to think that maybe Chunhye will lose this duel after all, but our boy thinks that it's too uncertain for now, so they'll have to let things play out. To make it even more fun, Kim Ho is happy to place a bet to determine the victor for 5 silver coins. Being the greedy little rat that Byung-chul is, he immediately accepts the bet. The fight between the resolute granddaughter of the Thunder Lord and the mysterious and emotionless duelist officially kicks off. Yane seizes the advantage by firing off numerous shots via her amplified bullets. As expected of Chunhye, the girl quickly blocks the bullets with little to no difficulty. Things are going just as expected in the eyes of Kim Ho, because he fully understands that Chunhye's mana pool is exceptional. What she does next is conjure up numerous hummingbird spells. The birds are advancing their way to Yane, who is still focusing on shooting her shots. The gunner manages to evade both of the birds, but just like our boy, Chunhye commands and controls the birds to alter their trajectory and attack Yane from behind. Unfortunately, she gets swiped across her face, stunning her immediately and knocking Yane to the ground. Of course, it wasn't a direct hit, because if it had been, the stun effect would bring about the end of the fight. Still, Kim Ho says that it still slowed down Yane's movement. And with the first bird electrocuting Yane, it's obvious that she won't be able to dodge the next attack. So things are playing out exactly like our boy predicted, and will result in Chunhye's victory. But then comes an element of surprise. The badass Yane throws out a smoke grenade to confuse her opponent, causing the smoke to blind her vision. It's an interesting tactic that surprises Kim Ho, because any other grenade wouldn't have landed against Chunhye. With the smoke covering her vision, the battle has become complicated for the lightning mage, and it's here where Yane can finally hone in on her advantage. The gunner takes aim and connects a proper shot against Chunhye's back, a direct hit. At first glance, it seems like the attack actually hit her, but luckily, Chunhye casted a defensive barrier at the last moment and still found herself off guard. She realizes that she's in grave danger in this situation, while the gunner quickly positions herself to take another shot. Interestingly, Byung-chul points out that Yane must be some kind of rich daughter of a millionaire, because she's actually using an invisibility cloak as part of her gear. Not just that, she whipped out an epic rifle to deal more damage too. One shot from the rifle is so threatening that Chunhye doesn't risk blocking it. She only dodges by a couple of inches. At present, their health bars are roughly equal, and half the duration for the fight has already expired. The problem with the invisibility cloak is that Chunhye can't spot her opponent at all. She's off guard every time Yane shoots another shot, which is exactly what the gunner does when she attacks from behind again. However, this time Chunhye prepares a tactic of her own. Thanks to her barrier, she's able to track down the mana bullet's exact trajectory, helping her narrow down her opponent's exact position. In the small time window she has, the determined lightning mage unleashes a wave of electricity on the ground, causing it to make its way to Yane, and forcing her to leap away. Despite having escaped the initial attack, she's in trouble because Chunhye has locked her sights. Then there's the fact that the gunner won't be able to dodge her next attack while in mid-air. The hummingbird quickly makes its way to Yane, stunning her with a solid direct hit. Unfortunately for Chunhye, the moment the attack connects is exactly when the time duration runs out. Even though Yane flops to the ground with a lower health bar than Chunhye, the fight is over. Byung-chul is shocked while Kim Ho appears unsurprised, because after seeing the committee leader's skill, he can confidently say that no one can best her in a direct flight. By default, because Chunhye has more health, she is ruled as the victor. At the same time, he finds Yane's abilities to be rather impressive to have lasted this long. As for the bet, poor Byung-chul ends up losing and surrenders the coins, but he wants to place another one right away to gain back the money. Our boy realizes that this dude is addicted to gambling, so he declines the offer. Back at the arena, the majestic swordsman Hyunwoo has arrived to face his opponent, the Fist King's disciple, Jo Byok. Because this fight appears interesting, Kim Ho agrees to the bet and concludes that the Fist King will likely win. Byung-chul thinks our boy is far too ruthless to his own friends to say something like that, but Kim Ho's just stating the facts of the matter. Of course, the gambling addict doesn't understand his point, but Kim Ho expresses that he'll find out soon enough. Let's get to Hyunwoo's perspective, who understands that his friend is watching. This time, he intends to show his best skills, even though it's going to be tough for him. He unsheathes the iron sword, while his opponent Byok wonders why he refuses to use the blade on his back. Unfortunately, Hyunwoo expresses that he's unfit for it for now, but the Fist King's disciple doesn't really care. After all, he plans on dealing his 100% going into this fight. With both fighters preparing their battle stance, the fight kicks off. The assault is Byok, who outmaneuvers against the swordsman's first slash, and quickly gets into position for a fiery punch. Even Hyunwoo can testify that this guy's movements are top tier. By the way, that punch just now is so damn strong that Hyunwoo could feel the full weight of it even after blocking. In fact, his entire body is sent flying from the impact alone. Hyunwoo fully understands the critical situation he's in. Normal attacks just won't help him last in this fight. As for his opponent, Byok launches himself like a damn torpedo for another strike, while the swordsman prepares to end this fight with a single move. Unleashing his clear-stream sword technique, he faces off against Byok's enhanced punches. Unfortunately, reality is disappointing for Hyunwoo, as his blade shatters during their clash. With his weapon out of commission, the swordless man quickly accepts defeat. By the way, he did manage to leave a small cut across Byok's shoulder, who looks forward to their next encounter. The fight concludes just the way Kim Ho predicted, because the iron sword is a really weak weapon for someone like Hyunwoo's skills. That's the first thing that came to our boy's mind when he saw the guy fighting in the train. It's like Hyunwoo has some kind of obsession with breaking his iron swords in every fight he's in. Byung-chul, on the other hand, is suffering from yet another upset. Poor guy is snuffed out by our boy, who expects his timely payment. Since Byung-chul is running short on silver coins, Kim Ho offers him a chance to pay in some other way. Our boy insists that he pay up by offering him a good chunk of information. Later that day, they share lunch together, because the announcer revealed that there will be a raid placement exam after the break. The trio sits together, while our boy grows impatient with this numbskull eating so slowly. Byung-chul wraps up his sandwich and asks what he wants, causing our boy to inquire about the top performers from all 4 factions. Byung-chul doesn't care about sharing this much, believing that this kind of information isn't that special to begin with. Let's talk about the 4 major factions and what they represent. Aside from the Student Council, which is the official group of the Academy, there are 4 major factions. There's the Muram Alliance, the Guild Federation, the Magic Tower Society, and the Knights Order. I'm not gonna lie, that's like 4 different manhwa universes jam-packed into one school. As for the leader of each faction, there's the majestic grandson of the Sword Saint, who commands the Muram Alliance, Mo Young-jun. Next up is the Ruby Tower's representative, who holds command over the Magic Tower Society, Hong Yunhwa. Yes, the same girl who was helpless in her fight against our boy is actually a prominent member of her society. Thirdly, we have the Guild Federation, ruled by Druid Park Nari, who is famous for her tiger-striped cat. Interestingly, there's another member in her guild who apparently hides their strength. Finally, we have the Swordmaster's son. See? Literally a manhwa title right there. I didn't know Jinrun Candle reincarnated into this universe. Anyway, Lee Seong-hyun represents the Knights Order as the 4th and final faction. The lineup is pretty damn impressive according to the list Byung-chul has shared. Suddenly it dawns on them that Hyunwoo's nowhere to be found. Byung-chul remembers about the club president and quickly dashes away in worry, leaving Kim Ho wondering what's up with the guy. With him gone, he's left alone with the silent Yane. You see, Kim Ho feels like the girl is extremely isolated, and he feels bad for her in a way, so he tries sparking a conversation about the cookie she shared with him the other day. Kim Ho shares that he received a coupon from Chun-hye, so he's happy to treat her back for the cookies. The coupon manifests a nice blueberry cake, and Yane happily accepts joining in. While eating the cake, she asks for his opinion on her duel against Chun-hye and why he thinks she lost. Kim Ho quickly answers that normal mana bullets just can't pierce mana barriers, which means it's seriously difficult for her to win against a mage with a high mana pool. At the same time, Kim Ho believes that if Yane hones her talent to amplify her bullets, she can turn the tide. Of course, the gunner doesn't get the appeal of training mana, and to his shock, our boy learns that she's never done mana training in her entire life. Curious, he inquires about her process of conjuring mana bullets, inviting a confused look on her face. Getting curious after hearing her answer, Kim asks if she has really never trained using the magic bullet skill, but the girl flat out denies it, saying she has never learned it at all. That reply completely throws him off because for a gunner, magic bullet should be the first thing in the book. Kim can't help but wonder if Yane has been landing her shots all this time purely on instinct, and the thought that she managed to hold her own against Chun-hye without even knowing the basics of mana training makes his head spin. Realizing just how lost she is, Kim decides to offer her a bit of help, explaining that once she gets the hang of mana control and learns the magic bullet skill, things might actually start to feel a whole lot easier for her. Later on, it is already time for the placement exam. As the students gather in the hall, their homeroom teacher begins to explain the rules for the conquest exam. Standing in front of a portal, he tells them that the test will take place inside the dungeon known as the Mist Forest. The nervous guy then starts laying out the dungeon's special conditions, starting with the first rule called High Score. It basically means the number of monsters each student defeats within 10 minutes will be counted as their score, so the objective is to take down as many monsters as possible before time runs out. The second rule is something they call the Fixed Zone, and to put it in plain terms, it is more or less a rank-locked area where every piece of gear, every trait, and basically everything gets downgraded to F rank. The homeroom teacher informs everyone that even their core will be affected by this rank lock, and warns them not to get any funny ideas, especially when it comes to managing their mana. After laying that out, he starts calling names one at a time so the students can head into the dungeon. The room quickly fills with groans and complaints as most of them start whining about how unfair the rules are, which only makes the teacher realize just how useless the majority of them seem, aside from a few decent ones like Hansomi and Choi Jung-pi who might actually stand a chance. Next up, he calls in the following batch, which includes Kim and Yane. As they prepare, Kim casually tells her to try using a rifle and recommends going for headshots on anyone who dares to get too close. Meanwhile, Chunhye can't help but find it strange that some guy who is not even a gunner is busy giving out tactical advice like he's some sort of expert. After that, they split up, and Kim steps into the dungeon alone. It's been a while since he last visited this place, so he takes it as a chance to test just how much stronger he's gotten. As the timer begins, he wastes no time and takes down a goblin who clearly thought his little ambush was clever enough to work. In the Mist Forest, monsters spawn wherever they want, making things tough for students who aren't used to the chaos. But like with every system, this dungeon isn't without its flaws, and Kim knows the biggest one lies in its fixed patterns that tend to repeat. Thinking back on the goblin's position, he figures it might be part of what's called the C pattern. With that in mind, he readies his short blade and throws it right on cue, nailing an ogre straight through the eyeball and into the skull. For a second, he wonders if he even needs a staff anymore, and grins as he casually picks up the fallen monster's weapons like they're just handing out loot. From there, he starts stacking up points like crazy and dives into the fight without holding back. While he's on his rampage, two trolls think they've found the perfect target and charge at him, but things don't go their way at all since Kim doesn't even flinch. Just before heading out, Kim remembers that there's a replay feature and quickly deletes the footage, knowing that if the system ends up syncing the monster behavior with his exact moves, it could land him in some serious trouble later. With barely 3 minutes gone, he already has more than enough points to complete the subquest requirements and figures it's best not to draw any extra or unnecessary attention. As he steps outside, he spots Yane walking out looking completely drained and mumbling about how tough it was in there. Seeing Kim come out so early makes the homeroom teacher recognize him as the same guy who once chose to forfeit a PvP match, and now here he is again, not even lasting the full 10 minutes. In his mind, he scoffs at what he sees as a weak mentality, and silently mocks the idea of someone like Kim ever becoming a dragon slayer. But that judgment shifts real quick when he checks the ranks and realizes Kim has already made it to the mid-high tier bracket. The fact that someone reached that level in such a short span seriously messes with his expectations, since it's the first time he has seen anything quite like this. Deciding it's worth keeping a closer watch on this kid for now, he calls up the next group of students, which includes Hyunwoo and the rest. Kim then checks the leaderboard and notices that even the top talents like Lee and Moyoung-jun seem to be sitting around Han Somi's level, which makes him wonder if maybe Hyunwoo could actually pull ahead, and right then, it happens. Hyunwoo takes first place with the highest score, proving he's not just riding on luck. Impressed by the result, Kim praises his friend the moment he steps out, but Hyunwoo quickly shifts the credit, saying it was all thanks to Kim for letting him reset during the PvP match. Of course, not everyone's thrilled to see them succeed, and a few people nearby throw some passive-aggressive comments about Kim, but Hyunwoo starts getting riled up while Kim casually winks at him, signaling him to ignore the noise and save the energy. When Kim asks if the test is done, Hyunwoo points out that Chunhye's score hasn't shown up yet. Meanwhile, inside the dungeon, Chunhye is clearly struggling as goblins surround her, and she barely manages to slow them down. Just then, she remembers what Kim said to Yane about aiming for the head and decides to try it herself, channeling her mana into one solid point while drawing her bow for a heavy shot. In the end, her score ends up being pretty low, and as it flashes in front of everyone, she gets flustered and mutters under her breath about how unfair it is to show her score like that. The homeroom teacher then calls off the exam and announces that the results will be out tomorrow, telling everyone to rest up till then. Right after dismissing the class, he heads straight to the computer guy without wasting a second and demands to see the replay from Kim's conquest exam. The guy tries pulling it up right away, but things take a turn when he realizes the replay wasn't saved at all. That clearly doesn't sit right with the teacher, so after a bit of digging, they end up finding out the obvious truth that Kim had deleted the footage himself, which definitely raises suspicions. He knows if our boy kept going at the rate he was going, he would easily go over 2,000 points soon. At first, he thinks that it is possible he is one of the apostles of the evil lord who infiltrated the academy, so it would be smart to quietly prepare countermeasures against him. Four Eyes asks him if he should report the case to the principal, but the homeroom teacher decides to observe for a little longer because if they don't present solid evidence at once, he thinks Kim will go underground and become even harder to catch. As he walks away, Lee concludes if our boy really is an imposter, he will reveal his true colors soon enough. Meanwhile, at the cafeteria, our hero along with Hyunwoo and Yane grab some coffee. It seems they have gathered at the cafe to make sense of the really confusing booklet they got over a nice cup of coffee. Our boy tells Hyunwoo to bring out his student ID and check the points. He explains that the number he sees are available points that act like currency in the academy. He continues that points can be earned from dungeon quests as stated in the book, and although they can be used to buy items or services, they can also buy recordings that can be accessed right before a student leaves the dungeon, including replays of other students. As he shows off the replay of Soman, he buys for 100 points. Seeing the recording of the blue-haired girl accessible so easily leaves Hyunwoo completely speechless. Kim says since Hyunwoo has a solid score, his probably sells for a lot of points too, and that's exactly what happens. As Hyunwoo watches in surprise, he gains 300 points from people buying his dungeon replays. Kim's buddy immediately realizes that is actually really bad because other students can analyze him and discover his weaknesses. He tells Hyunwoo that although he got lucky due to special rules inside the dungeon, everyone will find out soon enough he has a really weak core. But because of how much points are worth, the gamble is worth it. Then, our hero reveals that there is a special training room where the mana is dense, so it allows him to cultivate and grow faster. Hyunwoo shoots out of his chair in amazement that such a place even exists, but Kim tells him not to get too excited because there are strict conditions on entry. Hyunwoo quickly guesses that it probably costs an arm and a kidney, and he confirms it costs a whole 500 points for only 6 hours. It doesn't take long for his buddy to realize that if he goes there daily, he's going to be more broke than the homeless people on the streets. So his friend asks if there's another way, and our boy excitedly tells him they can buy the season pass, which is given to the top clubs, meaning they would have to steal the spot from someone like Moyoung-jun in the swordsmanship club, which seems pretty impossible. So Hyunwoo is quick to give up, but Kim lets him know he can hook him up in return for a favor. With a sly grin, he says he wants Hyunwoo to dive into the deep dungeon once he is strong enough, and explains that it is a deadly place compared to the mist forest they just went to. Without any hesitation, Hyunwoo confirms that he has a warrior spirit, so there is absolutely no doubt he will take him up on the offer. Hearing that, Kim tells him to grind as much as he can, saying he will somehow get the season pass for him in 2 weeks. After that, he heads to the workshop to make another sneaky deal. Inside, he sees a shut-in busy in the dark who asks him to state his business. Our boy politely greets his senior and says he would like to join the Magic Engineering Club, so the guy asks him why he came straight to Workshop 4 instead of 1, and he says that the people from Workshop 1 sent him here, really pissing the senior off. The guy straight up tells him to say what he wants and leave instead of annoying him. As he turns around, Kim notes that his senior has a B-rank magical engineering skill and happily copies it without any respect for consent. After that, he looks around in search of something, and the moment his eyes land on it, a sly grin flashes across his face. He grabs a shiny blue cube and asks his senior if it's valuable at all. The man says that it's pretty useless trash because it's so complex no one can replicate anything like it. So our boy asks him if he can have it and says he feels bad taking it for free, so he offers to trade it for a catalyst reagent in return, because even though the item isn't exactly a big deal, it is something an engineer always needs. Just like he planned, the senior happily trades it and tells him to stay silent about their little deal, and my guy smiles on the way out watching the fool celebrating, thinking he just exchanged a catalyst worth 1,000 points for what is basically trash. Suddenly, an optional quest shows up for Kim, and he quickly presses accept even though it is a big hassle, but what most people don't know is that the reward for the trashy quest is the S-rank item called the Cube of Life. As someone who has raised 1,000 S-rank characters in the past, he goes to the mana training room because he knows an exploit on how to make the item without going through the painfully annoying quest line. Using the amplification skill to upgrade his copied B-rank magic engineering to S-rank, he starts solving the 10x10 Rubik's Cube within a mere 60-second time limit. Normally it would take around 3 days to solve, but he manages to make some serious progress within just a single minute. After that, he fully locks in and grows his core through 1 full hour of focused meditation, and keeps following it up with 1 minute of cube work on repeat non-stop, because he has to get the Cube of Life before Friday to be in time for a very special event. The next day in class, he is surprised to find Yain arriving early while Hyunwoo is weirdly late, but he is quickly distracted by Yain's surprise dinosaur cookie attack. While our boy is absolutely enamored by her crunchy dinosaur cookies, Hyunwoo finally shows up, and he asks him how it went in the special training room. With a big wholesome smile plastered on his face, Hyunwoo says it was amazing and he believes he will get a breakthrough in no time. Hearing that, Kim promises to get the season pass as soon as humanly possible, while Yain gets crippling depression at him calling her adorable bear cookies dinosaurs. Then their homeroom teacher enters the class and announces that the battles will be held in the arena moving forward, and the time limit will be increased to 10 full minutes, so they better use each moment smartly. He also explains that every first year must complete 3 matches within the week, and their score will be heavily decreased if they refuse to take part. Hearing that, Kim silently grins in anticipation of the event he's been eagerly waiting for and thinks it's finally time to destroy the competition. He checks the system panel and notices a subquest that increases the reward based on how many victories he gets after playing 3 PvP matches. Because of that, this time he knows he cannot afford to lose and has no choice but to win. He tells Hyunwoo to come along to the arena with him, but before he can leave, Yane grabs his arm and mentions that she is free today. Everyone nearby stares at them thinking a proposal is about to drop, but their hopes crash immediately when they realize it's just about a training session the two had planned. Later in the afternoon, when the arena is completely empty and Kim is casually goofing around with his friend, a red-haired guy named Ji-hong suddenly walks in and starts mocking him for forfeiting the battle against Miss Song. He calls Kim a coward, which instantly fires up Hyunwoo again, but Kim calmly waves him off and keeps things from escalating. Still, Kim has no plans of going easy on the redhead and begins provoking him by pointing out that they both ended up with the same score in the placement exams. That ticks Ji-hong off even more as he yells about how insulting it is to be compared to a coward, and in an attempt to prove his point, he challenges Kim to a one-on-one duel right there. Kim accepts without hesitation, clearly enjoying how things are going exactly the way he wanted. Ji-hong goes all in thinking he can end the match with a single strong move, but Kim stays a step ahead and hits him with the hummingbird spell, paralyzing him in an instant. He even mocks Ji-hong for falling for the same exact trick twice, especially after getting humiliated by the Thunder Girl not too long ago. Kim says that he at least showed more mercy than Song Chunhye and wraps up the fight by beating him cleanly. Even after taking a proper loss, the redhead refuses to accept defeat and insists that a second match would end differently. Kim plays along and goes for another round, but the result stays the same, with Ji-hong ending up even worse than before. Still not ready to give up, Ji-hong challenges him again, clearly fired up to somehow turn the tables. Even though Kim needs one more win to complete his quest, he acts like he's completely exhausted and insists on getting something in return if they're going to fight again. The poor redhead, desperate for another shot, hands over a spiritual pill made by his own family just to get Kim to agree to a rematch, only to be defeated the exact same way yet again. This time, the beating finally knocks some sense into him, and Ji-hong admits his loss, even apologizing for all the rude stuff he said earlier. He tells Kim he was wrong to call him a coward and says he misjudged him, but Kim casually tells him to keep acting like he's a coward for now. While the request seems a bit sus, Ji-hong ends up agreeing without pushing any further. Once he's done stacking up his 3 wins, Kim checks in with his friend and finds out that Hyunwoo has also managed to secure 2 victories. Hyunwoo says he still has one more match to go and tells Kim to head off first while he wraps things up. Kim then makes his way to the Mana training room where he starts working with Yane, patiently teaching her the basics of magic bullets and helping her grow stronger. The girl turns out to be a fast learner, and the way she picks up everything leaves Kim genuinely impressed. Their training keeps going until it's finally her turn to fight, and she walks into her match against a green-haired guy named Kwak Ji-cheol. The guy tries to get clever by using the terrain to stay hidden, but Yane just smiles and takes him out like a bird on a wire, securing herself a clean and easy win. Later that night, the homeroom teacher reviews the match replays and notices a few things that feel off. His eyes go wide when he sees Yane's battle and starts questioning how someone could improve this much in just 2 days. That's when it hits him as he remembers overhearing that Kim had trained with her, and it becomes pretty clear that he's pulled some serious strings again. The whole thing gives the teacher a bit of a chill as he starts wondering who this mysterious kid really is. Meanwhile, Kim is chilling somewhere else, completely focused on the cube, and he finally finishes crafting the Cube of Life, which boosts the effectiveness of any stored life-type items by a solid 1.3 times. He feels pretty proud of himself for all the hard work and intense meditation that upgraded his core rank up to D, so now the mana consumption from skills won't feel nearly as painful as before. With his preparations finally complete, our hero confidently gets ready to advertise his new little invention. On his way to class, he runs into the Druid Park Nari, and just as he planned, all animals like her cat are incredibly sensitive to life energy, so the cube instantly attracts Tiger Kitty, and it proceeds to leap right into that bad boy, making itself quite comfortable. Nari apologizes for her overly curious cat being so pushy and politely asks it to come out, but as a druid she instantly senses the rich life energy emanating from his strange invention. Right then and there, Kim tells her he has to go, so it would be great if she could take back her cat more clingy than his ex. Intrigued by the mysterious cube, Nari asks him if he is from Class 3, and after that she finally takes her leave while still apologizing, resulting in a major success in Kim's quiet mission to grab the Nature Club's attention and snag that precious season pass. Then, he gets fully ready for his long-anticipated main event. Later in class, the teacher is reading off some boring lecture, but he intensely waits for just 1 more minute until the event is triggered. After class ends, the students begin unwinding and chatting around, when suddenly a deep red aura shines brightly, and a pulsating orb appears out of absolutely nowhere. Lightning erupts from the mysterious orb and strikes every student in the room, but their panic is short-lived as it disappears just as fast as it came. At first, they think nothing really happened, but as they begin to notice numbers printed on each other's foreheads, our hero instantly recognizes this as the surprise inspection known as the ban wave. It uses some fancy sci-fi magic to detect whether students possess any inappropriate toys or illegal items in their inventory and locks them away. Our hero is genuinely surprised at the horrifying screeching sound it makes, while Yane and Hyunwoo stand undisturbed like nothing strange happened at all. He then looks at some lame guy panicking while checking his inventory, and calmly walks up to him to ask if his club president happened to tell him today was inspection day. Still, the guy cries out that he doesn't have anything technically illegal, but what he does have are things no man should ever be caught carrying. So, our boy casually offers to give him a little help. He seriously doubts if Kim can really do anything, but the moment Kim takes the item back, he desperately begs him to save him, and swears he'll do whatever he says in return. Hearing that, our boy calmly makes it clear to the guy that he now officially owes him a favor, which the guy quickly confirms without hesitation. Kim then tells him to place any of his banned items safely inside the cube, making the guy suspiciously curious if it's actually safe. Hiding together under the table like two totally suspicious guys, our boy tells him to take it or leave it. Hearing the footsteps getting close, he panics and quickly dumps all of his contraband inside the cube of life without another word. Suddenly, Chunhye makes an explosive entrance and yells for all the filthy villains to freeze right where they're standing. She immediately notices the boys hiding under the table and demands to know what exactly they're trying to hide. But our hero casually gets up and replies that they're just having a private boys' talk, and it's none of her business. The guy with the number on his forehead backs him up, insisting they weren't doing anything suspicious at all, but Chunhye tells him to empty his pockets of whatever sketchy trash he's carrying anyway. Then she turns to Kim and tells him to bring out whatever he's hiding too, because the orb doesn't lie, and she's hit with disbelief when it fails to react at all. Dumbfounded, she stares while Kim excuses himself and strolls off, feeling quite satisfied that he managed to obtain the Cube of Life just in time for Friday, because demonstrating the usefulness of the only item that can bypass the ban wave will give him serious bargaining power. After class, he walks back through the hallway with the same guy, who can't stop thanking him non-stop because he probably wouldn't be breathing anymore if he got caught carrying the bad stuff he had. With a cheeky smile, Kim casually reminds him that he didn't exactly do it for free. Our boy then tells him to head straight to his club president to reclaim the items, and the guy nervously admits she's actually been wanting to see him for quite some time. You see, the Thieves Guild is responsible for moving all the illegal items throughout the entire Dragon Slayer Academy, and right at the door, our boy watches the clueless guy innocently say hi to his boss, only for her to kick him square in the face for making her work on an off day. She then proceeds to beat the poor guy up, saying he totally wasted her precious free time. Watching her go completely ham on him, Kim finally says hi to remind her he's still standing there, and the lady instantly calms down and introduces herself as Gu-young, president of the Thieves Club. She immediately jumps into business mode and demands that he show her the item he claims can completely bypass the banwave system. Seeing the Cube of Life up close, she can't believe it exists just like the rumors have said, and she even admits it's getting her so heated she wants to steal it for herself right now. Still, our boy reminds her she'll get caught immediately since all Magitech items have an anti-theft feature, leaving her amazed that the thing is Magitech. Hearing that, her over-the-top excitement dies down, and she leans back, asking what our hero is really after, while also explaining there's not much they can offer right now since the club is kind of broke at the moment. But he assures her that he won't ask for anything they can't actually do, and then politely requests that she personally escort him into their temporary underground storage room for a little private business discussion. That instantly sours her mood, and she narrows her eyes, asking him if he's actually being serious, because the temporary storage room is the place where all the confiscated contraband gets dumped right after being caught by the ban wave. She explains it's usually screened within 1 week by the higher-ups, after which it all mysteriously vanishes to a place no one knows anything about. However, our boy calmly claims he already knows the president herself will be heading there in a day or two, so she asks him to just be honest if he is a lackey working for the disciplinary committee. He shrugs and lets her know that he's got nothing to do with that stuck-up bunch. In fact, he's on pretty bad terms with them. Hearing that, she says, while she is thankful for the help earlier, his current request isn't exactly something easy she can pull off without problems. Just then, he catches her completely off guard by saying he already knows the temporary storage is guarded day and night by members of the disciplinary committee, and that while breaking in is already tough on its own, getting out after the job is nearly impossible. That's exactly why he offers her a solid deal that she only needs to help him with getting out, and in exchange, he will hand over the Cube of Life. The president pauses and seriously ponders his proposal, realizing it would be incredibly useful for the Thieves Club to hide their most valuable items inside a magical cube that not even the ban wave can detect. As she ponders it over, he locks eyes with her and gives her one last opportunity to accept the deal before it's off the table completely. Overlooking the site where the covert operation is about to go down, the thieves have gathered. Before making any drastic moves, club leader Dang Yu-young did a preliminary headcount, making sure everyone was present. Everyone was accounted for, but her thieves were confused with the addition of an unknown rookie. Without giving up much info to her members, Gu-young simply stated that the kid is there to help. Naturally, the senior thieves were skeptical of the boy. The job is risky enough as it is. Adding another rookie into the mix could mess things up. Davin, the club's tech girl, and support from outside the site verified that preparations are complete. As one final piece of advice, the leader warned Kim Ho to avoid standing out at all costs. Once they're in, the priority is nabbing rare small items. Infusing their legs with shadowy powers, the Thieves' Club charged forth. The technique was called Silent Steps, a handy B-rank movement tech. Since the life cube had been crafted, Kim Ho felt free to clear magic engineering from his skill slot and replace it with a crucial stealth skill. All it takes is seeing the club execute the tech. Meanwhile, the sole guard manning the entrance was wholly unprepared for what was about to happen. Suddenly, he saw bizarre butterflies flying around him. When he figured that something fishy was going on, the butterflies had already detonated, turning into a restrictive substance through shadowed flight. It was a perfect rope and gag to deal with unprepared guards without causing severe harm. In this old building, the third floor secretly houses a ton of confiscated treasures. It's only natural that the authorities placed countless security spells around the place. After bypassing a decent bit of those traps, the group was spotted by a patrolling guard inside. The patrol tried to raise his staff but was quickly tied up and neutralized by the thief twins. Afterwards, they encountered even more guards, and the group swiftly and efficiently dealt with security personnel without unnecessarily shedding blood. They eventually reached the final corner leading to the temporary storage room. Before breaching the mother lode, Dang Yu-young pulled out an artifact for a final check. Through a magic glass, she spotted a troublesome goblin-looking guy guarding the door to the storage room itself. He's a third-year hard-ass wielding an A-rank axe called Hell Cleaver. For a thief like Yu-young, this is the worst matchup possible. It looks like Kim Ho has to step in and lend some help early tonight. He turned to the girl boss and confirmed if she had Shadow Dream in her skill list. There are only a select few people who know about that technique, but there's no time to explain how Kim Ho became aware of it. After getting confirmation, he gave her a little touch and used Amplify to elevate the C-rank Shadow Dream up to A rank. They are losing time, so there is no time to wallow in surprise. Yu-young used Shadow Dream and spawned more butterflies than he had ever summoned in her life. The purple flyers quickly swarmed around the axe-wielding bastard. Like the brute that he is, this dude started swinging his giant weapon in an attempt to cleave little ass bugs. Of course, that did not end up working at all. As soon as one of the butterflies got in range to explode, a chain reaction was triggered. The axe brute was taken out of the equation in one blow. He looked like a cocoon ready to come out with wings. A-rank skills are A-rank for a reason. Yu-young made a mental note to confront the freshman about all this crazy shit after the mission is finished. With the last line of defense neutralized, the thieves were left to feast on treasure. While they were looking for shiny and valuable stuff, Kim Ho did a little personal shopping on his own. The banned item list at the academy mostly restricts items with dangerous side effects. If it's something that damages the body or mind, it will be banned. Tonight, Kim Ho is targeting banned items with elemental penalties, like this shock stone that causes paralysis. With his S-rank elemental resistance, these items are practically free of drawbacks. After a few minutes of careful scouring, he finally felt satisfied with his haul. Since they have a little more time, he might as well browse for some skill books. Skills with severe elemental penalties tend to be strong after all. Browsing through stacks after stacks of skill books, he finally found something that caught his attention. It was a smoldering book giving off incredible heat. Since Kim Ho is lacking in the combat skills department, this grimoire depicting a fiery fist is a godsend. While the team was packing up the loot, some unexpected guests barged in. Dragonslayer Academy's Student Council President, Song Chun-ki, and second-year Discipline Committee member Guak Seung-jae have come to complicate things. Dang Yu-young wasn't fazed. She was more annoyed than anything. They might have picked the wrong night to pull this operation off. Not willing to hear them out at all, the Student Council President demanded complete surrender and a peaceful transfer to the disciplinary room. The longer this operation drags on, the worse it will get for the thieves. In that case, Yu-young pulled out one of their contingencies and yelled at her people to split up and escape. She dumped something into the ground, generating a shadow haven that conceals allies inside for a few minutes. Of course, that was enough time to get out of dodge. Guak Seung-jae pulled out a divination crystal and quickly tracked down the thieves still stuck inside the building. After passing the word to the entire security team, getting out of the old building just went up to hard mode. On his way out, Kim Ho was interrupted by a big boulder barreling in his direction. Thankfully, he had good enough reflexes to dodge the stony schmeat. Guak Seung-jae calmly walked out of the corner, praising Kim Ho for dodging such a well-executed sneak attack. Seung-jae is up to date with his homework. He knows most members of the Thieves' Club, but this black-haired kid was entirely unfamiliar. Perhaps a freshman. Kim Ho didn't even give a verbal response. He's smart enough to hide his speaking voice in front of the authorities, and Guak Seung-jae respected that. If he won't speak, that essentially means surrendering is off the table. All around the ground, sharp stone pikes protruded and tried to destabilize Kim Ho. After closing enough of the gap, he summoned an electric hummingbird. Guak Seung-jae clicked his tongue and summoned stone cannons held by tree roots. He sent a barrage of cannonballs in hopes of knocking the thief out, but the hummingbird simply drifted around the sea of balls with grace. This nerd had never seen bird control this good ever in his life. If he didn't put up a defensive spell in advance, he'd be toast now. As he recovered from the shock, the freshman thief ran past him with silent steps. Unfortunately for Kim Ho, he was forced to take the only path out, and that path just happens to be riddled with a kill trap made of more rock cannons. Kwak Sung-jae detonated another barrage, seemingly intent on making an example out of this freshman. No one had ever taken one of his planned hits and survived. As he was about to check on the aftermath, Sung-jae started sweating as the temperature around the hallway climbed to infernal levels. The last thing he saw was a thief with a fist burning like it came straight from the depths of hell. Feeling the pressure as he witnessed a forbidden skill in action, Sung-jae poured every bit of mana he had in his body into building a robust triple bloodstone wall. That fancy defensive technique is no more than paper thin against Kim Ho's smoldering punch. He executed Inferno Fist with devastating mastery, tearing through the wall and sending Seung-jae packing. This time, he lucked out and succeeded, but controlling a forbidden skill was harder than he thought. The power level in particular is hard to manage. Thankfully, he pulled back just enough to avoid causing any serious injuries to the poor sap. The school probably wouldn't step in, but the Emerald Magic Tower and Disciplinary Committee won't stay silent. Those nosy bastards will work overtime to uncover Kim Ho's identity. They won't find anything, though. Suddenly, the sounds of footsteps attracted by the commotion inched closer. That's Kim Ho's cue to get out of here. As he silently steps out of the battlefield, the freshman disciplinary kids arrive. The very next day, a few people were escorted to the Student Disciplinary Committee's Room of Truth. Sitting in the hot seat, Dang Gyu-young acted her ass off while claiming innocence. She's been in custody for so long that she ground down the student council president and left the room. Disciplinary Committee Chief Oh Se-hoon took over the interrogation process and went with a gentle approach. He calmly handed the temporary storage's item ledger to Gyu-young, and she rifled through the pages with elation. She inwardly thanked Kim Ho for getting involved. Page after page, small but valuable items were pocketed by her club. The committee chief and everyone else know the culprit, but they don't know the method they used to keep the items, nor do they have any concrete evidence. As usual, Gyu-young firmly denied the accusations. If she has to take the fall for a case without real evidence, it won't hold up anyway. For now, the chief can only give a weak-ass disciplinary action to the main culprit. After leaving the Room of Truth, she came across the rest of the disciplinary committee. Counting the heads inside the room, they seem to be short by one core member. Seeing her acting smug annoyed Song Chun-hai. She thinks the mastermind is shamelessly playing dumb. Reaching her boiling point, Chun-hai barked about one of the thieves using something as dangerous as Inferno Fist to send senior Kwak Sung-jae to the infirmary. In truth, Gyu-young had no idea what this girl was talking about, but if she had to take a guess, there's only one dude in that operation skillful enough to use a forbidden technique. After being interrogated, the club leader went straight to the club and checked on Kim Ho's hand. Surprisingly, it looked perfectly fine, no burn marks at all. Kim Ho didn't bother hiding the fact that he was responsible for that one guy's hospitalization. Forget that four-eyed nerd. It's time to check the spoils of their labor. Looking at the plethora of treasures safely stored in the life cube, Gyu-young drooled in excitement. She had never seen a soup of pretty colors like this before. With this bountiful harvest, the deal should be considered fulfilled. Just as Kim Ho was about to leave, Gyu-young stopped him with a proper invitation to join the Thieves' Club. She promised to take care of the rookie if he lets her. Last night she saw arrogance and greed. In her eyes, this boy is the embodiment of a perfect thief. It might sound like an insult, but it's high praise coming from her. Either way, Kim Ho passed on the recruitment offer. He reckoned that this girl only wants him partly because of the life cube. He already has plans to sell this thing, though. More than anything, he needs special practice room season passes, about 4 of them. Besides, the immunity to the ban wave is just a bonus feature. The cube's real strength is its core ability. He promised to reveal the item description to her in exchange for a small favor. Kim Ho just wanted to plant some seeds by passing a message to the head of the Magitech Club. Some news about a freshman completing a 10x10x10 cube. Gyu-young agreed and was flabbergasted upon reading what Life Cube is really all about, enhancing the effects of stored life items by 1.3 times. Something that busted would sell no matter what the price in some factions. Before he finally leaves, Gyu-young seriously urged Kim Ho to consider her invitation even without the cube in the equation. She values everything he can bring to the table, so he promised to think it over. A weekend passed, and a few days of silence cooled the disciplinary committee down a little. Today, Kim Ho is heading to class with the permanently lethargic Seo Ye-in. It's only Monday morning, and she's already moving like a zombie. As they got closer and closer to their next class, Kim Ho became more and more certain that he was being tailed by some brats from the Emerald Magic Tower or the Nature Club. He doesn't really care if they snoop, but nipping the problem in the bud is the less annoying way of dealing with this kind of thing. So he let Ye-in go to class first while he cleaned up some rats. Seo Ye-in quietly relented, but she also noticed the two barely hidden snoops. Kim Ho turned around and directly confronted the annoying duo. The girl was alarmed, and the boy was arrogantly pleased that Kim Ho saved him the trouble of initiating the confrontation. He proudly claimed to be a mage from the Emerald Magic Tower. The blue-haired girl was much more polite with her approach, formally inviting Kim Ho to meet their leader. Of course, he firmly rejected such an invitation. If the tower leader needs something from him, the leader can come himself instead of sending lackeys. The boy was pleased that Kim Ho wasn't cooperating. Putting on a glove, he had been itching to hit someone to the batter in the message. In that regard, Kim Ho agrees. Without giving the rat a chance to finish his monologue, Kim Ho sent a hummingbird flying. Upon landing, it completely paralyzed the green rat, making him convulse uncontrollably. Miss Rat watched her partner quiver on the ground, not knowing what to do. If it's a fight they are looking for, Kim Ho is always open for business. Knowing that she's no match against someone as decisive as this guy, Miss Rat apologized for causing trouble. Judging by the hummingbird's movement, she could tell that this Kim Ho guy is a skilled fighter. She apologized and he turned around. At least one of the rats had enough brain cells to know when to quit. Miss Rat believes that the rumors about Kim Ho being a coward are nothing but a lie. Mr. Rat, on the other hand, believes that the Ho simply got lucky with a hit. He was already plotting his revenge when a magic bullet cut through the bullshit and hit the back of his skull. Miss Rat quickly scanned the surroundings, terrified of the unseen sniper that could be hiding anywhere. She tried to be polite and smart, but Miss Rat was implicated and shot in the head. The Emerald Magic Tower representatives were effectively neutralized. In the class, the instructor discusses how dungeons are designed to drain those who enter. Running out of resources inside is tantamount to failure. Surprisingly, Seo Yeon got in her seat later than Kim Ho. Maybe because she was busy sniping some bitches outside. Finally, the instructor announced that their next raid test will be in a time attack format. Surface-level dungeons can be challenged multiple times in practice mode, but you only have one shot at the real thing. For a time attack, one must rest the target and destroy the totem within 5 minutes to pass clear. Students are encouraged to practice their most efficient route before the live raid starts. Since this will be a duo challenge, Shin Byung-chul immediately clung to the last exam's top scorer, Go Byun-woo. Kim Ho gave the guy the go-ahead to pair up with another one of their friends. It looks like his partner has already been decided as soon as the instructor announced. Seo Yeon clung to his sleeves while declaring that they are a pair now. Just when you think Miss and Mr. Rat are done being punished, we turn our attention to the Emerald Magic Tower. Some smooth head guy with the power to control trees is pouring his anger and frustration on his lackeys. His brother, a disciplinary officer, was beaten by a thief after all. Smoothhead managed to control his emotions, dropping Mr. Rat before things could get out of hand. Sitting on his wooden throne, Smoothhead wallowed in his bad premonition. Emerald Magic Tower President Mok Jung-hwa plans to meet the infamous Kim Ho under the advice of the Nature Club's president, Ha Soo-yeon. The tower's reputation is in the gutter. Perhaps they could bounce back a little if they get their hands on that weird cube. Jung-hwa plans to take it as payment for insulting Emerald. Hearing the boss's plan, Mr. Rat spoke out of turn and volunteered to be deployed once more for a chance to redeem himself. He insisted that he was just careless the first time around. Jung-hwa is open to giving him a chance for redemption, but failure would result in expulsion from the club. Even with such stakes, Mr. Rat confidently took on the mission. Just to be safe, Mok Jung-hwa agreed to lend Mr. Rat a golem to help crush that enigmatic freshman. While schemes are cooking in the Emerald Tower, our boy is running around the Goblin Swamp alongside Seo Yeon. This is their first practice run, just a trial to get a decent feel for the time attack trial. To earn both the top reward in solo and duo dungeons, the system gave Kim Ho under a minute to clear both tests. The solo dungeon won't be a problem since he could go all out there. The duo assessment is a little trickier. If he taught Seo Yeon the fixed pattern of this goblin-infested swamp, speedrunning would be a breeze. However, giving her a cheat code like that won't help her grow naturally. She would benefit more from practicing her own rotations and routes. A few minutes of running and gunning later, the duo finally arrived at the flooded goblin's den, the swamp's boss. Before engaging, Kim Ho asked his partner if she wanted to go with dodges or full offensive right away. Beating a boss nets the team 120 bonus points. With such a tasty reward in line, how could you not risk it for the kill? Kim Ho got into the most optimal position to support Yeon's DPS using the control that Hummingbird provides. Unfortunately, the boss monster was not dumb enough to tank an obvious attack with his body. Nevertheless, the Flood Goblin's attention was drawn, leaving Yeon wide open for a clean shot with her rifle. Upon pulling the trigger, she hit the back of the goblin's bald-ass head. Her magic bullet doesn't have enough damage to pierce through and kill in one shot. If anything, it just made the boss more hostile and erratic. Madly swinging his sword, the Flood Goblin shifted his aggro onto the sniper. In such close range, the rifle's advantage is completely nullified. Even so, Seo Yeon did not panic even for a second. She calmly raised her aim and pulled. Part of her confidence comes from her trust in Kim Ho, who always makes the right move at the right time. Using Amplify on herself, Hummingbird's rank has been raised from rank E to C for a limited time. As a result, the bird became bigger and more pronounced. Its voltage is higher, and the paralytic property is even more potent. With a completely stunned goblin in her sights, Yeon lined up a brutal 5-meter shot. The practice run was a smashing success. Adding their kill points, time remaining, and clear bonus, the duo scored 649 points. They shaved their best time by a lot since the first run they tried, and there's still room for improvement. Before running it back, Yayin asked her partner if he could demonstrate that magic shot technique again. After spending more and more time with her, Kim-ho realized just how competitive this girl really is. She's clearly annoyed that the goblin boss didn't fall when she had the first clean look. Since she wants to work on specific parts of her game, it would be better to head to the training center. In the shooting range, Kim-ho devised an extensive lesson on a skill called Discharge. As of now, the quality of his partner's mana shots is top-notch. However, she's merely using them as tools and nothing more, effectively wasting their potential. To demonstrate with an easy example, he shaped a magic bullet and pretended that his hand was a mana gun. This way, he was able to show a more detailed demonstration of the quick mana release with a perfectly timed snap. This is the core principle of Discharge. It's similar to shooting a normal mana shot, but grasping those minuscule adjustments could really change the technique and power drastically. Following his instructions, Seo Ye-in tried to emulate Kim-ho's finger gun demo. When she tried to send it forward, the bullet illogically fired backward. For a great gunner, she weirdly lacks all the basics. To lower the difficulty a little, they downgraded to just shooting mana shots instead of forming bullets. Seo Ye-in's assignment is to perfect her mana shot while Kim-ho grabs something to eat for dinner. As he was about to leave, she offered him a black card to use to pay for the food. Based on the luster on that thing, Seo Ye-in must be a filthy rich young lady. Upon arriving at the cafeteria, Kim-ho took advantage of the unlimited funds and got a little bit of everything. While he was ordering at the counter, that swordsman, Han So-min, noticed him from across the room. Song Chun-hai turned her head and bit the metal fork she was using in half. Composing herself, this is actually a perfect chance to confirm something that's been bugging her for days now. Running up to Kim-ho, she asked if she could see his hand for a moment. The unidentified thief who used Inferno Fist during the storage incident is still out there. Imagine Chun-hai's surprise when she heard that the thief was an expert with hummingbird skill, someone connected to the Thieves' Club. She happens to know someone who fits the criteria perfectly. Disguising her weird request as palm reading practice, Chun-hai was eager to check if Kim-ho had burn marks on his hand. He acted flustered, playing along with the girl's naive game. So he raised his hand and let Chun-hye observe and prod him as much as she wanted. When the first one turned up clean, she demanded to see the other one. After careful scrutiny, she found not a single sign of burn. She was in a daze and forgot to let go of Kim-ho's hands. She thought she had it all figured out. Now she's the one flustered while running away from the awkward situation. Deciding to tease her a little bit, Kim-ho demanded to know his fortune from the palm reading. More specifically, he wants to know about the future of his love life. Annoyed at his blatant rage bait, she yelled that he had some tough days ahead of him. Big time! While the rest of the committee is winding down, this headstrong girl is still hunting the culprits. Thankfully, Kim-ho played this interaction well enough to stave off further suspicion. The next day came, and the Kim-ho Ye-in duo is still at it again with a speedrun practice. This time, she opted for 2 pistols instead of one big sniper rifle. This way, she could barrage and blitz goblins with sheer numbers. After dealing with the small fries, it's finally time to bring out the literal big guns. As usual, Kim-ho took on a more supportive role by spamming hummingbirds as a stunner while Ye-in dishes out the lion's share of damage. This time, her shots weren't only crisp and deadly, they were powerful enough to tear through goblin weapons uninterrupted. Adding the remaining time, kill count, boss elimination, and clear bonus, the duo scored 728 points. After that clean performance, Kim-ho gave Ye-in the praise she deserved for perfectly integrating what she learned yesterday into her battle skills. For the first time since they met on that train, Kim-ho saw the sleepy lady smile.